Hey guys, welcome to Rock Talks. Today we're talking to Louis and Henry from the band Alien Weaponry. We discuss their unique sound, the new album Tangaroa, their upcoming tour with GOJIRA, the real meaning of the band's name, and more. If you like this interview, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share the video with all your friends. Also, very important, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell. Hello, Henry. Hello, Luis. How are you guys? Thank you so much for your time. Welcome to Rock Talks.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you very much, man. And we're doing good.
All right. What time is it there?
It is 10 a.m. So really just getting started in the day for us. We're late risers.
Rise and shine. All right. So let's get into the interview already. So since this is the first time that I think you're doing an interview for a Peruvian media, I think we should start with the basics. So how would you describe the sound of Alien Weaponry?
Well, that's an interesting one. If you're going off our first album, it's kind of like a mix of thrash and groove metal, but then obviously we've got this very different element of us using Maori in the actual songs as well. So some people have labeled it as Maori metal, or te reo metal, which is te reo Maori. And then if you're going off the second album, I guess it's a little more progressive, and we're kind of starting to find different ways of songwriting as musicians. So it's more kind of progressive groove now, I think.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So talking about the first album, I realized that you guys are very, very influenced on 90s metal, right? I listened to a lot of Helmet, Prong, and of course Sepultura, especially during the KUSID and Roots era because of the tribal elements here and there. So do you agree that you guys are actually very influenced on the alternative 90s metal?
I wouldn't say that I'm super heavily influenced by it. It's funny that you bring up Sepultura because we actually never really heard their music before people started making that comparison between us. But we checked them out and we were blown away and thought they were awesome, but we'd never actually like heard their music before that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how us at the other side of the world from Brazil pretty much almost came up with a very similar sound and a similar way of incorporating our indigenous culture into what we're doing as a band.
Yeah, and 25 years later.
Yeah.
I suppose that you weren't even born back then, right? You're really young.
Yeah, no. I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, like initially when we first started writing music, like our main influences were bands like Metallica and Rage Against the Machine, as far as metal goes, and then pretty early on as well, we got into bands like Lamb of God and Slipknot. So that was kind of our earlier influences in terms of songwriting.
Mm-hmm. And what about the riffing? Because in my opinion, it sounds kind of similar to what Helmet and Prong were doing back in the 90s, or you didn't listen to those bands either?
No, I mean, it's always really interesting to see what sounds other people kind of pick up on, because half the time it's like, oh, these guys sound a lot like this band, and it's a band that we've never really listened to or really got into, but our riffing and our way of songwriting is still very similar.
Mm-hmm. Louis, would you like to add something to that idea?
Henry pretty much covered it in that one, to be honest. Yeah.
All right. So, since you guys are from New Zealand, how would you describe the metal scene there?
I mean, New Zealand's a small country. There's only 4 million people, so there's
5 million now.
5 million now. Yeah, the population keeps growing. Who would have thought? But yeah, I guess obviously doesn't have a scene like Europe or America, but it definitely does have, you know, a super passionate metalhead scene over here. So, you know, there's still quite a few diehard fans that come to the shows, and there are still a lot of people.
Are you
Yeah,
there?
and I mean local bands as well, like just the bands we kind of like started off playing with here in New Zealand. There are a huge number of really amazing metal bands here in New Zealand that just don't have like a global reach. And it's definitely like a rabbit hole that you can dive into if you're really looking for New Zealand metal. Now with the internet, like you're going to be able to find a lot of these guys online.
Mm-hmm. And how difficult is it to make it since you're coming from New Zealand?
It definitely makes the flights more expensive. But
How difficult is it to get to the big leagues in the metal scene? You know, getting a contract with Napalm Records, you know, and that's what I meant.
It was kind of this very kind of slow build up right until we actually signed our first management deal. So it was just kind of years of grinding and you know, doing little shows, trying to do shows every weekend, stuff like that. And we signed our first management deal, and they actually approached Napalm to see if they would be interested in signing us on the label. So it was really quite interesting how it all happened, because I think it was, you know, it was just this combination of us being prepared to actually go for it, which I think a lot of bands struggle with. You know, there was always that one guy who's like, nah, I'd rather just stick with my day job or whatever. Like, and we were like, okay, now let's dive head first into this. We're still at school. Like, what have we got to lose? So I think it was good timing for us. And we did get a little bit lucky as well, I think.
Yeah, timing is really important in every aspect of life, actually. So,
Yeah.
right. And in my opinion, also, your sound is a key of your success, because I think, I believe that most of the bands that make it or actually get record deals nowadays and got important tours and got millions of hits on YouTube and so on, are bands that are very successful getting their own sound, right? Taking different influences from different kinds of music and different kind of bands and styles. And I think Alien Weaponry is one of those bands. Do you agree?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like we all try and, I mean, me personally, I listen to a lot of things outside of metal, so I feel like that helps keep it fresh in a way. And sometimes you hear a band and you can kind of tell that they're trying to be pretty much exactly like another big band that already exists, which is never usually done it for me, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The amount of AC/DC kind of clone bands out there, I already, it kind of gets me. Like, we've got enough AC/DC. We don't need 3, 4, 5 more AC/DC-esque bands. But yeah, like, definitely it is something that we think about when we do songwrite. Like, you know, we can't be, I guess, just cloning the music that we're listening to and creating the same sound, like you know, being different in that way is, I think, something that's really important to us when we are writing.
Right. And talking about your unique sound, you sing in Maori, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Is that a typical language from New Zealand, I guess?
I wouldn't say typical, actually. It is one of New Zealand's official languages, and it's New Zealand's native language.
Native language, yeah.
But only
Right.
about 3% of the population actually speak it. So
3%.
yeah.
Oh,
So
very
it's
little.
it's not very widely spoken, and a lot of people don't understand it, which is, I think, you know, initially when we started writing in Maori, it was because it sounded cool, but it's kind of grown into this, I guess, almost a passion project for us, where we are doing it not only because it sounds amazing, but because the Maori language does need revival, and this is one way of doing it in New Zealand, or Aotearoa, if you want to.
It's kind of like a reivindication of the language from you.
Absolutely, and I mean, you know, we're part of a much bigger picture doing this. Obviously, like, I don't want to say we're. I don't even know how much of a part we're playing in, I guess, the revival of Te Reo Māori being used in New Zealand, but the numbers have gone up a little bit since we started. So
it's called Maori.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
great.
if you want to refer to the language, you can say Te Reo Māori.
Oh, all right.
Which is Māori language.
Let's leave it at Maori. It's less complicated to pronounce.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The funny thing is that actually that language fits your music, right? Sounds great.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, so do traditional kind of like Māori writing styles as well. I mean, I think everyone knows the haka, and you know, that is probably one of the most kind of aggressive tribal things people could think of. You know, they think of the All Blacks playing rugby, and they do a haka, and generally the other team's standing there looking like they might pee themselves when they're doing the haka. So it's definitely got that kind of aspect and that aggression to it, which I think works very well with our music.
Yeah, totally. Is it true that you named the band Alien Weaponry after watching the film District 9?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can you explain that story, please?
I was 8, Henry was 10, and Mum and Dad let us watch R16 movies. So yeah, we watched District 9, and at that point, this was kind of as we were deciding to maybe start a band, and at that point it was kind of, you know, a fun side project. But our parents' friends was a photographer trying to get into videography, and she said, "Why don't I come over and film your boys playing in their band?" So at that point, we kind of had to decide on a name, and I think we were sitting down over dinner, and we kind of thought, what about Alien Weaponry? Because, you know, they have a lot of that in District 9. Yeah. And it sounded cool back then. I still think it sounds pretty cool. So yeah, we just went with that.
I think inadvertently it kind of gained another meaning as well. Alien weaponry being muskets being introduced into New Zealand during the colonial period. So it's kind of loosely relates with that as well, which we thought was kind of cool when people started making that comparison and thinking that was what we named the band after.
Do you guys talk about aliens in your lyrics?
No, we actually don't. well, aliens in terms of you know, creatures that aren't from Earth. No, but we do talk about aliens in terms of British colonizers in New Zealand. So,
All right. Yeah, got it.
again, it's something that's changed with the band and evolved with the band.
Yeah, but the name sticks, so no problem.
Absolutely.
So in January 2021, Metal Hammer magazine called you the future of metal. How do you feel about that?
I think we'll take it, but you know, at the same time, I think we try not to focus on stuff like that too much, because I think it might affect the way we are as a band and how we songwrite as a band, and also just the way we are as people. So, you know, I think for us, it's incredibly important to stay grounded. So, you know, it's amazing that magazines are writing about us like that, but for us, really, we just focus on the music. Like that's what we do.
Mm-hmm. Luis?
Yeah, so that's a tough one. Yeah, I guess kind of what Henry said, you know, if you focus on it, you do get distracted from the important things like writing the music, and kind of, you know, keeping your ego in check. We try not to let it get to our head, so we try not to overanalyze it, I guess. But I mean, I hope that we have a bright future in metal, I guess.
Because you're really young. You're, I think, 19 and 20 years old.
21.
19,
yeah. And you, Luis?
But yeah.
19.
19. Oh my God. That's a really young. Well, congratulations, because that's a very mature approach. You know, I got the chance to interview like dozens and dozens of bands since for the past 10 years. And I guarantee you guys that the most successful artists and bands out there in the big leagues are the most humble musicians, you know, as people, you know. Cannibal Corpse, Overkill, Lacuna Coil, people from Metallica, Anthrax. Most of those guys, or pretty much all of them, are really humble, and that really surprises me, especially at the beginning of my career as a journalist in heavy metal. You know, the biggest bands were actually the most humble as people, on camera and off camera, all the time. So you gotta keep that approach. So in order to keep doing well.
Awesome. Well, yeah. That's good to hear, I guess. That's good to hear.
Take that advice. All right. You will be a support act for GOJIRA, right? Next month, I guess, in a couple of months.
Yeah, well, it's actually in the next. Well, we're flying out October 3rd, so it's September 29th here, so it's super soon, and it's beginning of October. We're going to be hitting the road with GOJIRA as second support, with Knocked Loose playing on the bill as well. So that's going to be awesome. And then 2022, we're also doing European shows with GOJIRA as main support. So that's going to be awesome.
Nice. Congratulations. I get the chance to see GOJIRA back in 2012 in Chile, and they are amazing live. They are like jaw-dropping good, like it's that good. So did you guys had the chance to see GOJIRA before?
Yeah, so we saw them, I can't remember which festival. We saw them at an American festival when we were in the US last. And
one in Chicago, but I can't remember the name.
I think it was Chicago Open Air.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
But yeah, we watched them side of stage, and just kind of sat there the whole time.
Yeah, it wasn't like that in 2012. Exactly.
Oh
my God.
nuts, man. and we actually got to meet them and hang out with them, and we went and watched Tool with them, which was pretty sick. But then I'm pretty sure I'd seen them earlier at Vaken as well. I think I saw them I was way back in the back of the crowd, but yeah, no, that every single time I've seen them, they've been 110% on the ball. So
Yeah,
we've been practicing like fuck, trying to get ourselves to at least a acceptable level.
yeah, and I mean, for us, it was like the entire time we were kind of there, like we were like fangirling. And then when they went to go and watch Tool, they were fangirling. We got to see them fangirling over Tool, and we were like, they're not even different. Like, you know, they're still people, which is, it's, you know, it's really cool to see a band that you look up to so much doing the same stuff that you do.
Yep.
So yeah,
I
think it should be a cool tour with these guys because we kind of know them already.
Yeah, now you will have the chance to see them every night. It's like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Good for you guys. So let's talk about the new album, Tangaroa. Did I say that right?
Tangaroa.
Tangaro. All right. What does it mean?
So Tangaroa is the kind of spirit or energy of the ocean, in kind of Te Ao Māori or the world of Māori. And the title track is talking about overfishing and you know, garbage dumping and all this horrible stuff that is happening to our oceans, and how we are killing Tangaroa and Tangaroa's children. So I think for us, the reason why we decided to name the album Tangaroa after that track was because we thought it was probably the most kind of pressing issue that we were talking about, the most kind of current and relatable for everyone that was going to listen to the album. Like, there's not a person on this earth that doesn't get affected by the ocean some way. And so, yeah, for us, I think it was like this kind of all encapsulating idea that we could have as like an umbrella over everything else. And yeah, I mean, obviously there's a pretty strong message to the song. But again, it's like our talking about Māori history and New Zealand history. It's something we do to try and open up ways for people to have conversations about it rather than just being very nervous about stuff like that, because I think a lot of people do get uncomfortable when they're talking about certain issues.
And what can you say about the musical direction of this new album? I got the chance to hear it, and to me it sounds a bit more melodic compared to the first one. But I'm not saying this in a bad way. I think it's actually a good thing. But do you agree with this idea?
I would say so, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
you got songs like Unforgiving, which are very
melodic. Yeah. I think we took a much more progressive approach on this album. You know, we're drawing inspiration from things like Meshuggah or Polyphia, some of the Australian prog bands as well. I'm drawing from, like North Lane.
even like GOJIRA, like the 2012 era GOJIRA, where they were kind of just really getting into the super proggy stuff they were doing with like La Fon Sauvage, that kind of stuff, which was actually what I discovered GOJIRA with, hearing that album. So I guess it's been influencing the music for a while, but it's had more and more of an influence. But yeah, for us, I mean, I think there's a lot more dynamics in this album as well. Like, you still have like the very intense kind of screaming and you know, just kind of punch you in the face riffs. but then also you've got much more kind of mellowed out drop down sections, and kind of we're taking it in slightly different places. So yeah.
All right. I'm gonna ask you a question that's very typical on job interviews. Since you're really young, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Ooh.
With the
Yeah, well, we
band?
kind of have 5 and 10-year goals for the band. And I mean, I guess the 5-year goal is to be playing like the main stage at Varkin, possibly being on like the 3 top lines of the poster.
Mhm. You already played Bucking, right?
Yeah, we already
tent.
managed to play Varkin, yeah.
But it wasn't the main stage.
Yeah, it
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
main
of course.
so
A tent.
main
like I said.
stage is next on the list. And then yeah, the other one for us, I think 10 years from now we want to be trying to sell out stadiums, doing stuff like that, and also headlining main stages at pretty much every festival, if that's possible.
And I don't know if I see myself, but I definitely aspire to see myself, because anything can happen in the world is unpredictable and we don't know anything for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, maybe in 10 years, you can be the present of metal instead of the future nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you like this interview, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share the video with all your friends. Also, very important, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell.